Attention! What you are about to discover is not by chance. If you're here, it's because God Himself has guided you to this crucial moment in your life. Have you felt that, despite everything you do, things don't change? Do you wonder why you remain stuck in the same situations, unable to see the light at the end of the tunnel? Today, that is about to change, but only if you have the courage to listen to the end. This message from God is not for everyone. It's for those who are ready for a real and lasting transformation. Stop for a second and ask yourself, what would you do if you knew that the key to changing your destiny was just a few minutes away? No, it's not what you think. It's not about easy money or empty promises. It's about a message that God has reserved exclusively for you, a message that can change everything from today. Yes, you read that right, from today. But only if you decide to move forward, to listen, and to open your heart. Because what you are about to hear will surprise you, move you, and most importantly, give you the opportunity to rewrite your destiny once and for all. Imagine, just for a moment, that this could be the day everything changes for you. It's no coincidence that you're seeing this now. It's a divine appointment. But here's the catch. Most people won't dare to move forward. Will you be one of them, or will you be among the few who take action and see the glory of God manifest in their life? This is the moment to leave doubts behind, to abandon fear, and to take control of your future with the divine guidance you are about to receive. If you think you've seen it all, think again. What God has for you today is like nothing you've ever heard before. It is a revelation, an awakening, a call to a new life full of purpose and miracles. Are you prepared to receive what God has stored just for those with the courage to listen? Because what comes next could be the key that opens the door to the life you've always wanted, but never knew how to reach. Today, that changes. Today, God tells you that your moment has arrived. From the moment we open our eyes at birth, the presence of God is already manifest in our lives. It's not just an external force, but an energy that permeates everything around us, guiding us, protecting us, and inspiring us. Imagine life as a long road. Each step we take, whether toward our dreams or facing challenges, is accompanied by that divine presence. Often, we forget we are not alone, but that presence is there, in moments of joy and in times of difficulty. The divine presence is not only manifested in great miracles, but also in the small everyday details. It is in the silence of a prayer, in the whisper of the wind, in the smile of a stranger, where we can feel that constant love of God. He does not turn away, even when we think we are lost or that the weight of life is too great. On the contrary, it is precisely in those moments of uncertainty where His presence becomes more tangible, offering us comfort and strength. Faith allows us to recognize this constant presence, transforming our view of the world and ourselves. When we understand that God is always with us, our worries diminish, and we find a deeper meaning in our actions. It's not uncommon that when facing a difficult situation, we feel an inexplicable peace. That's the hand of God guiding us, assuring us that, despite everything, everything will be okay. After all, His presence is a reminder that we are loved and cared for at all times. In daily life, we can see signs of this divine presence if we pay attention. From a decision we make without thinking much, but that turns out to be the right one, to a coincidence that leads us to an unexpected outcome, God is in the details. These small miracles, though subtle, are proof that we are not alone. Sometimes, all we need to do is stop, take a deep breath, and remember that God is with us at every step of the way, guiding us toward a greater purpose. The presence of God is also manifested through the people around us. It is in acts of kindness, in words of encouragement, in comforting hugs, where His love becomes tangible. By opening our hearts to others, we not only share the divine love, but we also receive it in abundance. It's an endless cycle of giving and receiving, where each gesture of kindness is an extension of the hand of God, touching our lives in ways we sometimes don't even understand. In each challenge we face, the divine presence gives us the strength to move forward. It's like a light in the darkness, illuminating our path when everything seems lost. It's that inner voice telling us not to give up, to keep fighting, because we are not alone. God accompanies us in every battle, giving us the courage and determination to overcome any obstacle that comes our way. And when we finally achieve victory, we can see clearly that we didn't do it on our own, but with the help of His constant presence. God's presence is not limited to specific moments or sacred places. It's everywhere and at all times. Whether we are at home, at work, or in a place of worship, His love surrounds us like a protective cloak. No matter how far we think we are from Him, His presence always finds us, reminding us that we are His creation and that our worth is immeasurable. With this certainty in our hearts, we can face any situation with confidence, knowing that we are not alone. Money, material possessions, and even success are just tools in our hands when we understand the true wealth of divine presence. Everything we have comes from His goodness, and by recognizing this, we start to see the world with different eyes. We no longer worry so much about the material because we know that the most valuable things can't be bought. It's the peace, the love, and the security we feel when in tune with the presence of God that really matters, and that no one can take away from us. In moments of despair, when it seems there's no way out, remembering the presence of God can change everything. It's a beacon of hope in the midst of the storm, a reminder that no matter how dark the times may be, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Often, all we need is to pause, close our eyes, and feel His presence around us. It's in that moment of stillness where we find the peace that money can't buy, a peace that comes from knowing we are under His care. The divine presence is also reflected in our ability to forgive and to ask for forgiveness. When we understand that God is with us, we realize that resentment and anger only distance us from His love. By letting go of these burdens, we allow His presence to fill our hearts with love and compassion. It is through forgiveness that we free ourselves and draw closer to God, experiencing an inner peace that is priceless. In this act of liberation, we discover the true freedom that only His presence can provide. Life is a divine gift, and each day is a new opportunity to feel the presence of God in our lives. As we wake up each morning, we can choose to see Him in everything we do and in everyone we meet. This conscious choice transforms our existence, giving us a deeper perspective and a sense of purpose that goes beyond the material. When we live with an awareness of His presence, our actions align with His will, and our life becomes an expression of His love. As we progress on our spiritual journey, the presence of God becomes our compass, guiding us toward our true purpose. It's not always easy to follow this path, but with His presence as our guide, we can be sure that we are heading in the right direction. Money can buy many things, but it can't buy the safety and love that come from knowing God is with us. This presence gives us a peace that transcends any material concern, allowing us to live with a confidence that can't be acquired any other way. When we trust in the presence of God, we realize that everything we need is already within our reach, and that the true blessings of life are priceless. It's a constant reminder that we are loved and cared for beyond what we can imagine. The presence of God in our lives invites us to live with gratitude and humility. By recognizing that everything we have is a gift of His love, our hearts fill with thankfulness. This feeling drives us to share our blessings with others, to be a light in the lives of those around us. Living with this awareness transforms us, making us more generous, more compassionate, and more connected to what truly matters. It's in this connection where we find the real wealth, one that money can't buy. God's love is reflected in the way we live and the decisions we make. His presence in our lives gives us the strength to act with integrity, even when it's difficult. It reminds us that our actions have an impact and that we are responsible for using our blessings for the good of all. By living in alignment with God's will, we not only find peace, but we also become instruments of His love in the world, bringing His light to the darkest places. Divine presence is an inexhaustible source of comfort and hope. No matter how difficult the circumstances, His love always sustains us. It's a love that knows no bounds, that envelopes us and gives us the strength to move forward. When we are overwhelmed by life's worries, it's His presence that reminds us that we are not alone, that there's always a way out, and that, with faith, all is possible. This certainty is what allows us to face the future with bravery and optimism, knowing that, no matter what happens, God is with us. In life, challenges are inevitable, but how we face them defines who we are and what we achieve. Often, obstacles seem like insurmountable mountains, but it's precisely in these moments of trial where faith becomes our greatest ally. Just like a warrior arms himself for battle, we must arm ourselves with faith to face any challenge. This faith is not simply a passive belief, but an active force that propels us forward, even when everything seems against us. Each challenge is a disguised opportunity, an invitation to grow and to surpass our own limits. When we face a difficulty with bravery, we not only strengthen our spirit but also discover capabilities in ourselves that we were previously unaware of. Life is not about avoiding problems, but about learning to face them with a mindset that everything has a divine purpose. With this mindset, challenges become stepping stones to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Faith gives us the courage to move forward, even when the path seems dark and without exit. It's that inner spark that reminds us that we are not alone, that God is with us at every step of the way. In moments of doubt, it's important to remember that faith is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. It's this determination that allows us to transform difficulties into blessings, turning each challenge into an opportunity to demonstrate our trust in God. A clear example of overcoming is the story of David and Goliath, where a young shepherd, armed only with his faith and a sling, defeated a giant that everyone feared. This story not only inspires us, but it also teaches us that with faith, no challenge is too great. Like David, we all face giants in our lives, whether in the form of financial problems, illnesses, or personal conflicts. However, with faith as our weapon, we can topple any obstacle that stands in our way. Money, often seen as an obstacle, can also be overcome with the help of faith. Instead of viewing the lack of resources as a limitation, we can see it as an opportunity to trust more in divine provision. History is full of examples of people who, with faith and determination, managed to overcome poverty and achieve prosperity. This transformation is possible when we stop focusing on what we don't have and start trusting in what God can do through us. The key to overcoming any challenge is to maintain a positive attitude and unbreakable faith. No matter how difficult the circumstances, there's always a way to move forward when we trust in God. This doesn't mean that problems will magically disappear, but it does mean that we'll find the strength and wisdom to face them. Each small step we take forward, guided by our faith, brings us closer to victory and moves us away from fear and despair. In overcoming challenges, it's also essential to surround ourselves with people who support us and push us to move forward. Community and mutual support are crucial for staying strong in times of adversity. When we share our struggles and our victories with others, we not only strengthen our faith, but we also inspire others to face their own challenges with bravery. Together, as a body united by faith, we can overcome anything life throws at us. Facing challenges with faith also involves an act of surrender and trust in God's plans. Sometimes, the paths we choose are not the ones God has prepared for us, and it's in those moments when we need to let go of our own expectations and follow His guidance. This surrender is not easy, but it's essential for overcoming challenges successfully. By trusting that God has a purpose for each trial, we find peace in the storm and the strength to move forward. Overcoming challenges also connects us more deeply with our spirituality. Each obstacle overcome is a testimony to the power of faith and an opportunity to draw closer to God. By reflecting on our past experiences, we can see how God has worked in our lives, guiding us and strengthening us at every step of the way. This reflection not only strengthens our faith, but also prepares us for future challenges, knowing that with God, all things are possible. On the path to overcoming, it's crucial to remember that we are not meant to face challenges alone. God has given us community, family, and friends as support in difficult times. There's no shame in asking for help or in sharing our struggles with those who love us. By doing so, we not only strengthen our bonds, but also allow others to become instruments of God's grace in our lives. This support network is a blessing that should not be underestimated. Overcoming challenges also means learning to see problems from a new perspective. Instead of focusing on the negative, we can train our minds to see the hidden opportunities in each difficulty. This mindset shift is not easy, but with practice and faith, it's possible. By adopting an attitude of gratitude and optimism, even in the darkest moments, we open the door to creative solutions and divine intervention. Thus, what seemed like an insurmountable obstacle becomes an opportunity for growth and blessing. In life, money can be both a source of stress and a tool for liberation. The key lies in how we handle it and the attitude with which we face it. With faith, we can transform our relationship with money, seeing it not as an end in itself, but as a means to fulfill God's purpose in our lives. This change in perspective frees us from anxiety and allows us to use our resources in ways that honor God and bless others. Life is full of uncertainties and perils, but those who trust in God find in Him a safe refuge. No matter how threatening the circumstances, divine protection is an impenetrable shield that surrounds us at all times. This protection is not always visible, but it is constant and powerful, acting as a barrier against adversities that try to derail us from our path. By recognizing God as our protector, we gain the confidence to face life without fear, knowing that we are under His care. When we feel vulnerable or insecure, it's comforting to remember that God is our strength. He is like a high, impregnable tower, where we can take refuge and find peace in the midst of the storm. This refuge is not just a physical place, but a state of confidence and tranquility that comes from knowing that God is in control. By taking refuge in Him, we are not running away from our problems, but facing them with the certainty that we are not alone. God's protection also extends to our material needs, including the money and resources we need to live. Sometimes we worry about how we will cover our basic needs, but God assures us that, if we trust in Him, we will lack nothing. His provision is abundant and arrives at the right moment, even though it's not always in the way we expect. This trust in His protection frees us from anxiety and allows us to live with a peace that the world cannot offer. Money, though necessary, cannot buy the security that comes from God's protection. Often, people seek security in their material possessions, but they find that these are ephemeral and can disappear in an instant. The true security comes from trusting that God is our provider and protector, and that, under His care, we have nothing to fear. This faith allows us to use money wisely and generously, knowing that our well-being does not depend on what we have, but on whom we belong. God's protection does not mean that we will never face difficulties, but that, even amidst trials, God will be with us. Like a shepherd cares for his sheep, God guides and protects us from dangers we cannot see. Sometimes, this means we will be shielded from situations that could have caused us harm, and other times, it means we will be strengthened to overcome the trials we face. In both cases, His protection is a demonstration of His love and faithfulness toward us. In daily life, we can experience God's protection in ways that often go unnoticed. It can be in a decision we make, in an unexpected change of plans, or in an opportunity that arises at just the right moment. These coincidences are nothing more than the hand of God acting in our lives, protecting us from what we cannot foresee. By recognizing these signs, our faith is strengthened and our trust in His protection grows, allowing us to live with more freedom and less worry. God's protection also manifests in the community and in the relationships we cultivate. Through friends, family, and loved ones, God provides support and comfort in difficult times. These people act as angels in our lives, reminding us that we are not alone and that there is always someone willing to help us. This community support is an extension of divine protection, a tangible reminder that we are loved. Money, though useful, cannot offer the same security as relationships based on love and faith. Often, those who rely solely on their wealth find that money cannot buy the peace or protection they desire. On the other hand, those who trust in God and in the relationships He has placed in their lives discover a source of security and well-being that goes beyond the material. This security is not fragile or temporary, but lasting and constant, because it is founded on God's love. Divine protection is like a shield that surrounds us, but it is also a refuge where we can rest when life becomes overwhelming. This refuge is accessible at any time and place. We just need to direct our thoughts and hearts toward God. By doing so, we find comfort and strength, not just to endure the trials, but to overcome them with confidence. This connection with God is what allows us to live without fear, knowing that we are under His constant care. In times of crisis, God's protection becomes our most precious refuge. It is in these moments that we discover the depth of His love and His commitment to us. No matter how severe the problems we face, we can be sure that God will not let us fall. His protection is an anchor that keeps us steady when everything else seems to be falling apart. This certainty gives us the peace and security we need to move forward, regardless of the circumstances. Divine protection has been a recurring theme in the lives of those who trust in God. From the prophets of the Old Testament to the saints and martyrs of the New Testament, we see how the hand of God has guided and protected His people. These testimonies are a powerful reminder that God does not change, and that His protection is still available to us today. By trusting in this truth, we can face any situation with bravery and hope. Money can be a constant concern for many, but those who trust in God's protection know that His provision never fails. This confidence does not eliminate the need to work and be responsible with our resources, but it frees us from the anxiety that often accompanies financial worries. By trusting in God, we learn to live with a security that money cannot provide, a security that comes from knowing that we are under His care. Divine protection reminds us that we are not alone in this world. God not only protects us from visible dangers, but also from invisible ones, those we cannot foresee or control. By trusting in Him, we find peace amidst uncertainty and strength amidst weakness. This protection is a gift that God freely offers, and by accepting it, we experience a life of greater confidence, freedom, and fulfillment. Commitment to God is not just a promise made in a moment of emotion, but a conscious decision that is reflected in every aspect of our life. It is an act of total surrender, where we entrust our heart, our worries, and our hopes to His care. This commitment requires faith, a faith that does not waver in the face of difficulties, but that is strengthened with each trial. By committing to God, we open the door to miracles, because it is through our faith that He works in our lives. Faith is like a seed that, when planted in a committed heart, grows and produces abundant fruit. It's not enough to have faith in good times. It's in difficult moments where our commitment and our faith are tested. It's easy to say we trust in God when everything is going well, but true commitment is demonstrated when, despite the storms, we continue to believe in His power and His love. This type of faith is what moves mountains and transforms lives. Commitment to God is also reflected in how we handle our responsibilities and daily decisions. It's not just about attending church or praying in times of need, but about living each day according to the principles God has taught us. This includes how we use our money, how we treat others, and how we face challenges. By staying true to our commitment, we show that our faith is not superficial, but deep and genuine. Commitment to God also challenges us to live a life of integrity and honesty, even when no one is watching. Faith is not just about believing, but about acting according to our beliefs. This means that our actions, both big and small, must reflect our commitment to God. By doing so, we not only strengthen our relationship with Him, but we also become an example to others, inspiring them to live with faith and commitment. Faith and commitment are essential for experiencing miracles in our lives. Often, we want to see immediate results, but God calls us to wait patiently and confidently. It's in this waiting where our commitment deepens and our faith is strengthened. By standing firm in our faith, even when we don't see immediate outcomes, we allow God to work His way and in His time. This constant commitment is what opens the door to the blessings God has prepared for us. Commitment to God also leads us to be agents of change in the world. Our faith should not be passive, but active, leading us to do good and to serve others. This service is not only a demonstration of our commitment, but also an expression of the faith we have in God's transformative power. By committing to live in this way, we not only change our own lives, but also those of the people around us. True faith always leads to action, and this action has the power to change the world. In life, there will always be distractions and temptations that try to pull us away from our commitment to God. Faith also teaches us to trust in God's plan, even when we don't understand it. Often, we want quick answers and easy solutions, but God calls us to trust in His wisdom and His timing. This type of faith requires a deep commitment, one that is willing to wait and trust, even when everything seems uncertain. By standing firm in our faith, we allow God to guide us and lead us to a place of greater blessing and peace. Money, when handled with faith, becomes a powerful tool for good. Our commitment to God leads us to use our resources in ways that honor His name and bless others. This may mean giving to the needy, supporting our community, or investing in causes that promote justice and well-being. By doing so, we show that our commitment is not just in words, but also in action, and that we are willing to use what we have for the good of all. Faith also challenges us to trust God with our future. Commitment to Him means setting aside our worries and anxieties, knowing that He is in control. This is not always easy, especially when we face uncertainties or difficulties, but it is in these moments when our faith must be strongest. By trusting God with our future, we find peace in the present and the assurance that, no matter what happens, He is with us. Commitment and faith also reflect in how we handle our relationships. By treating others with love, respect, and compassion, we show that our commitment to God is real. This love is not always easy, especially when we face conflicts or disagreements, but it is precisely in these moments when our faith is tested. By remaining true to God's principles in our relationships, we not only strengthen our bonds with others, but also deepen our commitment to God. Commitment to God is an ongoing journey of growth and transformation. It's not a destination we arrive at, but a path we walk every day. As we grow in our faith, we also grow in our commitment, becoming more like Christ. This growth is not always easy, but it is essential for living a full and meaningful life. By committing to follow God every day, we discover the true freedom, peace, and joy that only He can offer. The trials of life, though painful, are opportunities for the purification of our faith and the strengthening of our character. Just like gold is purified in fire, our souls are purified through difficulties, removing the impurities that distance us from God. This process is not easy or immediate, but it is essential for our spiritual growth. The resilience we develop amidst these trials allows us to not just survive, but to thrive in the midst of adversity. Resilience is not simply the ability to resist, but to adapt and grow from difficulties. It is a quality that develops through experience and faith, allowing us to face each challenge with a hope-filled attitude and determination. Instead of viewing trials as punishments, we can see them as opportunities to demonstrate our faith and draw closer to God. This perspective gives us the strength to move forward, even when the path is tough and full of obstacles. The purification process is painful, but necessary. Just like the goldsmith places gold in the fire to remove impurities, God allows us to go through trials to refine our faith. This fire can manifest in many forms: financial problems, illnesses, personal conflicts. However, each of these trials is an opportunity for our faith to be strengthened and for our relationship with God to deepen. In the end, we emerge from this process stronger, purer, and more committed to our divine purpose. Money, often seen as a source of temptation and corruption, can also be purified through our relationship with God. When we handle our finances with integrity and generosity, we allow money to become a tool for good, rather than an obstacle. This process of financial purification not only benefits our lives, but also allows us to bless others. By using our resources in ways that honor God, we demonstrate that our faith is genuine and that we are committed to His will. The resilience we develop through trials also prepares us to face future challenges with greater confidence. Each time we overcome a difficulty, we learn something new about ourselves and about the faithfulness of God. This accumulated experience becomes a reservoir of strength that we can draw upon when we face new problems. Thus, what once seemed impossible becomes an opportunity to demonstrate our resilience and our trust in God. Purification and resilience also manifest in our relationships. Often, trials reveal the true intentions and strengths of the people around us. In these moments, we can see who is truly committed to us and who is not. This revelation, although painful, is an important part of the purification process, allowing us to surround ourselves with people who support and strengthen us on our spiritual journey. In the end, our relationships are deeper, more sincere, and more aligned with God's purposes. The purification process also teaches us to let go of what does not serve us. Just like the fire removes impurities from gold, life's trials show us which aspects of our lives need to be eliminated or transformed. This process can be painful, but it is essential for our growth. Money, when managed without the purifying influence of God, can become a burden and a source of stress. However, by allowing God to guide our financial decisions, we can experience a transformation in our relationship with money. This purification not only frees us from anxiety and fear, but also allows us to use our resources in ways that reflect our faith. By trusting in God's provision, we find peace and security, knowing that we are using what we have for His glory. Resilience is a test of our faith and our commitment to God. Each time we face a trial and come out victorious, our faith is strengthened and our resilience grows. This process prepares us to face even greater challenges in the future, with the confidence that God is with us. Resilience is not something that develops overnight, but through a continuous process of faith, commitment, and overcoming. In the end, it is this resilience that allows us to live a full and meaningful life, no matter the circumstances. Purification and resilience also teach us to rely completely on God. Often, we try to face trials on our own, relying on our own strengths and resources. However, it is in moments of greatest weakness that we discover the true strength that comes from trusting in God. This act of surrender and dependence is a crucial part of the purification process, allowing us to experience the peace and security that only God can offer. By trusting in Him, we find the strength to overcome any trial. Money, when purified by God, becomes a powerful tool for good. By using our resources in ways that reflect our faith and commitment to God, we show that we are willing to put our finances in His hands. This purification not only transforms our relationship with money, but also allows us to bless others in ways we never imagined. In the end, we discover that true wealth is not measured in terms of material possessions, but in the depth of our relationship with God. Resilience also teaches us to find joy amidst trials. Although difficulties can be painful, they are also opportunities to grow and to experience God's faithfulness in new and powerful ways. By facing trials with an attitude of gratitude and trust, we discover that even in the midst of adversity, we can find peace and joy. This resilience allows us to live a life of joy, knowing that God is working in all things for our good. The purification process also leads to greater humility. By recognizing our own weaknesses and limitations, we realize our constant need for God. This humility allows us to grow in our faith and in our relationship with Him, recognizing that, without His help, we cannot overcome the trials we face. By embracing this humility, we allow God to work in our lives in ways we never could have imagined, leading us to a place of greater blessing and peace. Purification and resilience are not easy processes, but they are essential for our spiritual growth. Through these trials, we become stronger, wiser, and more committed to our divine purpose. In the end, we discover that the difficulties we faced were not in vain, but led us to a place of greater maturity and fulfillment. This transformation is a testimony to the power of God working in our lives, refining us and preparing us for the plans He has for us. What will you do with all that you have learned today? Because knowing is not enough. Real change comes from action. Are you willing to take the next step in your spiritual life? Do you dare to apply these principles and see how God transforms every aspect of your life? This is the time to leave excuses behind, to set aside fear, and to make the decision that can change your destiny forever. Don't let this opportunity slip away. God has shown you the way, but only you can decide to walk it. Are you going to continue being the same person, stuck in the same routines, or are you going to allow this message to ignite a fire in your heart, an insatiable desire to grow, change, and live fully? The choice is yours. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. God is with you at every step you take, guiding you, protecting you, and providing for you. But you need to take the first step. What will you do with this opportunity? If you're ready for a life of purpose, faith, and blessings, then I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Don't stop here. Keep learning, keep growing. Activate notifications so you don't miss any new message that could be the key to the next great transformation in your life. Share this message with others who also need to hear the Word of God. Together, we can change the world, starting with our own lives.